Dan Schneider, the producer of all the hit shows that we know and love, what we call our childhood. Unfortunately, they filled our childhood with happiness and memories to look back on, but they were being abused, neglected, and traumatized. Dan Schneider is an American television producer, screenwriter, and actor. He is best known for creating, writing, and producing some of Nickelodeon's most successful children's shows from the 1990s through the 2010s, including All That, The Amanda Show, Drake and Josh, Zoey 101, iCarly, and Victorious. He parted ways with Nickelodeon in 2018 after an internal investigation uncovered reports of verbal abuse and a toxic workplace culture. In 2024, his reputation came under renewed scrutiny following the release of the docuseries Quiet on Set, The Dark Side of Kids TV, which highlighted allegations of toxic work environments, sexism, and the use of inappropriate, highly sexualized content on the sets of his shows. Let's talk about the victims and what they went through. First, we have Amanda Bynes. A lot of speculations have been going on to what happened with Amanda. Dan Schneider discovered Amanda after casting her on All That in the 1990s. He later created The Amanda Show around her, and she became one of Nickelodeon's biggest stars. In 2010, Amanda announced that she retired from acting after her role in Easy A. She states that she didn't like her performance in the film and decided to quit. 2 years later, in 2012, is when controversies started happening with her mental health, arrests, and conservatorship. Many say that Dan Schneider ruined her. They say that he got her pregnant and made her get an abortion, allegedly. Amanda never publicly announced that Dan abused her, but people around her have seen weird behavior between them, such as her giving Dan massages. Next up, we have Jeanette McCurdy. A lot of public information has come out about what she has gone through from her memoir. Jeanette McCurdy never directly names Dan Schneider in I'm Glad My Mom Died. Instead, she calls him the creator. But based on the details she shares, most readers understood she was referring to him. She describes him as someone who made her feel constantly anxious and like she had to earn his approval. At times, he would single her out and make her feel special, but that attention could quickly disappear. She writes that she always felt like she was walking on eggshells around him, worried about saying or doing the wrong thing. Jeanette also recalls situations that made her uncomfortable, including being pressured to drink alcohol while she was underage and receiving unwanted shoulder massages from him. She says Nickelodeon later offered her $300,000 if she agreed not to speak publicly about her experiences at the network, but she turned the offer down.
And the world she was exposed to at such a young age. In her book, she writes that after Sam and Cat was canceled, Nickelodeon offered her a $300,000 thank you gift if she agreed to never speak publicly about her experience at the network, specifically with a man she refers to as the creator, who on one occasion, she says, encouraged her to drink while she was still underage and gave her a shoulder massage.
Another Nickelodeon actor, Jack Salvatore, has spoken up about how he claimed he overheard conversations after Jeanette McCurdy's mother died, where Nickelodeon executives were worried about Jeanette taking antidepressants because they feared that if she harmed herself, it would make the network look bad.
Talk about the massages. We could talk about the fact that he would literally count his gold coin collection in front of his crew who was living paycheck to paycheck. We could talk about how sometimes he would bring out a shotgun to scare one of the writers when they were working at his house. We could talk about the high-level conversations I wasn't supposed to hear about how Nickelodeon didn't want to recommend antidepressants for Jeanette McCurdy after her mom died for fear that she might kill herself and make the network look bad.
Pretty brutal. Next, we have Ariana Grande. Ariana Grande has never accused Dan Schneider of sexual misconduct, but after the Quiet on Set documentary came out, she admitted that it made her look at her Nickelodeon years in a completely different way. Ariana said she had been reprocessing her experience on Victorious and Sam and Cat. At the time, she thought the edgy jokes and innuendos were what made the shows cool. She said the cast was basically convinced that pushing the envelope was part of the fun and what set them apart from other kids' shows. But looking back as an adult, especially after seeing old clips of herself in the documentary, she said, "I'm upset." Some of those scenes included her doing things that many viewers later viewed as overly suggestive for a teenage actress. Ariana said that when you're young and adults behind the camera are laughing and praising you think, "I'm doing something great. This is funny." She now feels that young performers can be taken advantage of because they trust the adults around them. She also called the stories shared by other former Nickelodeon stars devastating and said the industry needs to do better at protecting kids. Ariana believes parents should be allowed on set whenever they want, and that therapy should be mandatory for child actors because of the pressure and experiences they go through. Even with all of that, Ariana said she still has beautiful memories from Nickelodeon and is grateful for the opportunities it gave her career. Her feelings aren't black and white. She seems to hold both truths at once. She loved parts of that time in her life, but she also recognizes that some things that happened behind the scenes weren't okay. Let's dive into Lori Beth. Lori Beth Denberg, who is one of the biggest stars on Nickelodeon's All That, made some of the most serious allegations against Dan Schneider. In 2024, Lori Beth claimed that Dan Schneider sexually harassed her when she was around 19 years old and he was working as a writer and producer on All That. She alleged that he would make inappropriate comments to her, show her adult content, and initiate unwanted phone conversations that crossed professional boundaries. She said she felt uncomfortable, but didn't know how to handle the situation because he had so much power at Nickelodeon. Lori Beth also said that, at the time, she didn't fully realize how inappropriate some of the behavior was because the environment had normalized it. Looking back as an adult, she said she recognized that the way she was treated wasn't okay. Dan Schneider strongly denied Lori Beth's allegations through a statement from his representatives, calling the claims false and wildly exaggerated. Lori Beth's allegations are separate from the stories shared in quiet on set, but they added to the larger conversation about the culture behind some of Nickelodeon's most popular shows and whether child actors and young performers were adequately protected. Because these are allegations that Dan Schneider disputes, it's important to present both sides. Lori Beth has publicly detailed what she says happened to her, while Dan has denied her account. These are only a few victims of Dan Schneider. The list goes on. Who knows if anyone else is hiding what they've gone through? Did this change the way about how you feel about your childhood? When you were younger, did you have an eerie feeling watching the weird and inappropriate things going on in the show? I hope this video brings you awareness to who this person truly is.